The sun beat down mercilessly on the Santa Monica Pier as Alexandra lost her footing on the narrow railing of the Lifeguard tower. Her heart lurched into her throat as the world tilted and the sandy beach rushed up toward her. Vanessa lunged with lightning speed, grabbing her wrist in a vice-like grip and yelling at the top of her lungs, "Don't leave my wife behind." The words cut through the ocean breeze like a thunderclap, and a nearby tourist captured the entire heart-stopping sequence on his phone. Alexandra felt the rough wood scrape her palm as Vanessa hauled her back onto the platform, her arms wrapping around her in a crushing hold. The lifeguards below were already climbing the ladder shouting instructions, but the damage was done. Alexandra could hear the murmurs from the crowd gathering on the sand, phones held high recording every second. Her legs shook as they descended the tower step by step, Vanessa, never letting go, her voice steady now, whispering, "It's okay, we are safe." But safe from what? The fall, or the truth that had just spilled out for the entire beach to hear? By the time their feet hit the sand, Alexandra knew everything had changed. Her phone buzzed nonstop in her pocket, and when she glanced at the screen, the video already had 12,000 views in under 5 minutes. Comments poured in. "Who is she calling wife? That's so brave." Or, "Wait, is this real?" Lesbian couple at the beach. Vanessa pulled her toward the parking lot away from the stairs, her face pale but determined. They had come to the beach for a simple family day, her parents and sister visiting from out of town, thinking Vanessa was just her roommate from college, a good friend, nothing more. Now that illusion was shattered in the most public way possible. Alexandra could still see her mother's face from earlier that morning, smiling as they unpacked the picnic basket, completely unaware. The guilt that had lived in her chest for years now felt like a live wire. They had been so careful for so long, building a life in Los Angeles where no one from back home could see. The secret marriage 18 months ago at the downtown courthouse with only one trusted friend as witness had felt like freedom and a cage at the same time. Alexandra remembered the way Vanessa's hand had trembled when they said their vows, the simple gold bands hidden under their shirts every day since. As they reached the car, Alexandra slid into the passenger seat, her mind racing back to the beginning. It started at UCLA 5 years ago in a crowded lecture hall for a psychology class. Alexandra was the quiet one, always sitting in the back row trying to blend in, raised in a household where Sunday services and Bible study left no room for questions about who she might love. Vanessa had been the one who sat next to her one rainy afternoon, sharing notes, and a smile that made the world feel less heavy. Their first conversation stretched into hours at a coffee shop off campus, talking about dreams and fears. Vanessa, so open about her own journey coming out in high school, while Alexandra listened with a mix of envy and longing. Friendship turned to something deeper in stolen moments, late-night study sessions, walks along the campus paths where their hands brushed accidentally on purpose. The first kiss happened in Vanessa's tiny apartment after a movie night, the rain tapping on the window, as Alexandra finally let herself feel what she had fought for so long. It was terrifying and beautiful all at once, the kind of love that made her question everything her parents had taught her about right and wrong. They dated in secret for 2 years, meeting in places where no one knew them, driving to small towns for weekends where they could hold hands without fear. The decision to marry came after a particularly hard visit home where her mother had set her up on yet another blind date with a nice Christian boy from church. Alexandra had come back to Los Angeles crying in Vanessa's arms, realizing she could not keep living half a life. The courthouse ceremony was quiet and quick, but the look in Vanessa's eyes when she slipped the ring on her finger made it feel like the most important moment of their lives. They told no one, celebrated with a quiet dinner at home, promising each other they would find the right time to tell the world. But the right time never came, because every holiday call from her mother carried the weight of expectations, and every family gathering reminded Alexandra of the price she might pay. Now, as Vanessa drove them away from the beach, the phone kept lighting up with notifications. The video had hit 50,000 views, and local news accounts were sharing it with captions like "Dramatic Rescue Turns Personal at Santa Monica Beach." Alexandra's stomach turned as she imagined her sister scrolling through her feed and recognizing them. Vanessa reached over, squeezing her hand. "We will face this together, no more hiding." But Alexandra could only nod, the fear of losing her family twisting inside her like a knife. They had built something real, something worth fighting for. But at what cost to the people who raised her? When they pulled into the apartment complex in West Hollywood, the reality hit harder. Her mother was already calling. The ringtone she had set for family, the one that usually brought comfort, now felt like a warning. Alexandra stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the answer button, knowing that once she picked up there would be no going back. The secret they had guarded so fiercely was out in the open, spreading across the city like wildfire, and all she could think was how one slip, one scream had changed everything forever. The afternoon sun still shone through the car windows, but for Alexandra the world had gone dark with the weight of what was coming next. Alexandra finally answered the call, her mother's voice sharp and confused on the other end. Alexandra, what on earth is this video circulating everywhere? People at church are texting me. Is that you on a tower with Vanessa and she called you her wife? The questions came fast, no room for explanation, her father in the background demanding to know what kind of joke this was. Alexandra tried to speak, but the words stuck her throat tight with years of swallowed truth. Vanessa parked the car and took her free hand, offering silent strength as the conversation turned into an argument that echoed the fears Alexandra had carried since college. She explained as calmly as she could that yes, it was real, that Vanessa was not just a friend but her wife, that they had been together for years and married in private, because they knew how hard it would be for the family to accept. Her mother gasped like she had been struck. The Bible verses starting immediately. You know what the scripture says about this. It is not natural, Alexandra, you have been led astray. The call ended with a demand to come to the hotel where the family was staying right away, no excuses. Alexandra hung up her hands, shaking the inner conflict raging between the love she felt for Vanessa and the loyalty drilled into her since childhood. Driving to the hotel, Vanessa stayed quiet at first, then spoke softly. We knew this day might come, but I never wanted it to happen like this. Alexandra nodded, remembering all the times they had talked about coming out on their own terms, perhaps after her father's business was more stable, or after her sister finished college. The family firm her father built from nothing relied on conservative clients, who would not understand a daughter in a same-sex marriage. The pressure had always been there, subtle at first, her mother asking about grandkids, her father praising her for being the responsible one who would carry on the family values. At the hotel room, the confrontation was immediate. Her mother stood by the window, tears in her eyes, her sister Lily sitting on the bed, arms crossed, looking betrayed. Her father paced the floor, his face red with anger. How long have you been lying to us, Alexandra? We raised you better than this. The words stung because they were true. In a way, she had lied by omission for years, sending photos of group outings, cropping Vanessa out of stories, pretending her life was what they wanted it to be. Vanessa stood beside her, explaining that their love was genuine, not a phase, not a rebellion, but real and committed. The discussion stretched for hours, accusations flying about influence from the big city, about Alexandra being confused about sin, tearing the family apart. Lily spoke up for the first time, her voice trembling. I looked up to you as my big sister, and now this. How am I supposed to explain it to my friends at youth group? The moral dilemma hit Alexandra hard. Was her happiness worth the pain she was causing the people who had sacrificed for her education and stability? Vanessa defended them calmly, but firmly. We did not choose to hurt anyone, we chose to love each other in a world that makes it hard. When they left the hotel that evening, the air between Alexandra and Vanessa felt heavy with unspoken fears. Back at their apartment, Alexandra sat on the couch replaying the day, the slip, the scream, the video now at over 200,000 views with news outlets picking it up. She thought about the early days of their relationship, the way Vanessa had encouraged her to volunteer at the campus LGBT center, introducing her to a community she had only read about in secret. Those meetings had been eye-opening stories of others who had lost families but found themselves. Alexandra had resisted at first, attending only to support Vanessa, but slowly the acceptance she saw there chipped away at her shame. One particular night stood out, the anniversary of their first date, when Vanessa surprised her with a picnic in a secluded park. They had talked for hours about the future, kids, maybe adoption, a house with a yard, normal things that felt impossible under the weight of secrets. That was when Alexandra first whispered the words, "Marry me," and Vanessa had cried happy tears. The memory brought a small smile, but it faded as her phone lit up again with a text from Lily. Please tell me this is not real. I don't want to lose you, but Mom is crying and Dad is talking about cutting you off from the will. The betrayal felt sharp, not from strangers but from blood. Vanessa made tea and sat beside her, reminding her that they had each other and that was enough. But for Alexandra, the choice was never that simple. She had always been the peacemaker, the one who smoothed things over, the daughter who followed the rules. Now those rules were colliding with the life she had built, the love that made her feel whole. As the night wore on, the city lights twinkling outside their window, she wondered how many more conversations like this lay ahead, and whether their bond could survive the storm they had unleashed. The video kept gaining traction, local influencers commenting on representation versus family values, and Alexandra realized the entire city was now part of their private battle. The next morning brought more calls from extended relatives and friends who had seen the clip. Each one forced her to confront the reality that hiding had protected them, but also isolated them. Vanessa suggested they take a walk to clear their heads, but even outside people glanced at them, recognizing the faces from the viral moment. The social prejudice was no longer abstract, it was stares and whispers in their own neighborhood. Alexandra held Vanessa's hand tighter than usual, the decision to stand together feeling both empowering and terrifying. They returned home to find more messages and the weight of it all pressed down as they prepared for the next family meeting scheduled for the following day. Through it all, Alexandra kept returning to the core question in her mind: was the love they shared worth the fractures it was creating, or had their secrecy been the real mistake that led to this painful awakening? The hours blurred into deep conversations with Vanessa about their shared dreams and the compromises they had made. By the end of the day, the tension in their home mirrored the tension in the city, the video now trending with thousands of opinions pulling them in every direction. Alexandra knew the real battles were just beginning, and the price was already higher than she had ever imagined. The family meeting the next day at a neutral cafe near the hotel started civil, but quickly escalated. Her father arrived with printed screenshots of the video comments, highlighting the most negative ones. "See what people are saying, this is ruining our reputation." Alexandra tried to explain the love she felt, the way Vanessa made her a better person. But her words were met with scripture quotes, and pleas to seek counseling to fix what they saw as a problem. The moral conflict deepened as she sat there torn between defending her marriage and the lifelong conditioning that told her she was wrong. Lily pulled her aside during a break, her eyes filled with hurt. "You never told me anything. I thought we were close, but you built this whole other life without us." The betrayal cut deep because Alexandra had wanted to share so many times, but fear always won. Vanessa waited outside the cafe, giving them space, but her presence in the video had already made her the villain in her family's eyes, the one who had corrupted their daughter. Back at the table, the conversation turned to practical matters, the family business, her father warning that clients were already asking questions, and a scandal could cost contracts. Alexandra felt the pressure mount as she thought about her own job at the law firm where partners valued discretion. The social media storm had reached her coworkers, and although no one said anything yet, the looks in the office the day before had been telling. Vanessa faced her own challenges in marketing, where a client had emailed questioning the firm's association with controversy. The prejudice was not just online, it was affecting their livelihoods, the very stability they had worked so hard to create. That evening at home, Alexandra and Vanessa sat down with their laptops, reading through the comments, some supportive, calling them brave, others vicious, labeling them as destroying traditional values. The inner turmoil for Alexandra was relentless, flashbacks to childhood church camps where leaders warned against certain lifestyles, now clashing with the reality of her happy years with Vanessa. She remembered the night they moved in together, the simple joy of unpacking boxes and planning their future, the laughter that filled the rooms now threatened by outside forces. A new development came when an old college friend of Alexandra's posted a throwback photo of the two of them at a party, tagging her with a caption about hidden truths. The post spread fast, adding fuel to the fire and bringing more calls from relatives demanding explanations. The betrayal from someone she trusted stung, especially because it was not even intentional, just careless curiosity. Vanessa comforted her, reminding her that they could not control others' actions, only their own response. As the days passed, the video reached national attention with talk shows discussing outing and privacy. Alexandra took a personal day from work to process, but the quiet only amplified her doubts. Was it fair to Vanessa to have dragged her into this family drama, or was it fair to herself to have hidden for so long? They spent hours talking through the what-ifs, the alternative paths they could have taken, like coming out gradually or moving farther away. The tension built as her mother sent a long email outlining all the ways this choice was hurting the family: the canceled family reunion plans, the awkward church conversations, the questions from neighbors. Alexandra read it aloud to Vanessa, tears streaming, the weight of guilt almost unbearable. Yet in Vanessa's eyes she saw unwavering love, the kind that had carried them through every secret moment. The moral dilemma sharpened: should she apologize and try to smooth things over with half-truths, or stand firm in her truth knowing the cost? Work became a minefield when a senior partner pulled her aside, expressing concern about the firm's image in conservative circles. The conversation left her shaken, realizing how interconnected her personal life was with her professional one. Vanessa experienced similar pushback at her agency, a big campaign put on hold pending review. The societal judgment was not abstract, it was real: dollars and opportunities slipping away. Through it all they leaned on each other, cooking meals together, watching movies to escape, but the undercurrent of stress was always there. Alexandra found herself writing in a journal late at night, pouring out the conflicting emotions, the love, the fear, the anger at a world that forced such choices. The awakening was slow but powerful, the realization that her happiness did not have to come at the expense of her identity. By the end of the week, the family requested another meeting, this time at their apartment, a sign that they were not backing down. Alexandra prepared herself for more confrontation, knowing that each word would carry the power to heal or break bonds further. The city continued to buzz with the story, but in their small world the real drama was unfolding, one honest conversation at a time. The apartment meeting began with awkward hugs but quickly turned into raised voices. Her father demanded they end the relationship to save the family name, while her mother cried about the grandkids they would never have in the way they imagined. Lily sat silent at first, then exploded with her own pain. "You chose her over us, over everything we shared growing up." The betrayal felt mutual in that moment, Alexandra feeling abandoned by the very people who were supposed to love her unconditionally, and her family feeling lied to for years. Vanessa tried to mediate, sharing stories of their life together, the way they supported each other through job losses and health scares, but her words were dismissed as manipulation. The moral arguments flew back and forth. Is love defined by who it is between or by the commitment it holds? Alexandra found herself defending not just their marriage but her right to exist, as she was the deep internal struggle between daughterly duty and personal authenticity, reaching a breaking point. A turning point came when Lily revealed she had shared the video with their church group to pray for Alexandra, the unintended betrayal amplifying the exposure. The news hit like a punch, additional media requests pouring in from religious outlets wanting the family side of the story. Alexandra felt exposed in every sense, the private moments of doubt now fodder for public debate. In the days that followed, the couple faced more practical losses. Vanessa lost a freelance gig when the client cited values mismatch, and Alexandra was passed over for a promotion at the firm with a vague explanation about team fit. The social prejudice manifested in canceled invitations from old friends and awkward encounters at the grocery store. The pressure tested their bond, leading to their first major argument where Alexandra, in a moment of exhaustion, suggested maybe they should have stayed hidden to spare everyone the pain. Vanessa was hurt by the words, retreating to the guest room for the night, the silence heavier than any scream. Alexandra lay awake, replaying the tower moment, the instinctive shout that had come from Vanessa's love in crisis, now the catalyst for so much hurt. The reflection brought clarity but also more questions about sacrifice. What was the right choice when every path led to someone losing? The next morning they reconciled with tears and promises to face it united. They decided to seek advice from a counselor experienced in family and identity issues, the sessions opening new layers of understanding about internalized prejudice and generational trauma. Yet the external world kept intruding, with a local newspaper article featuring the video and interviews with beachgoers offering opinions on public displays and privacy. The betrayal deepened when an old co-worker of Alexandra's sold a story to a tabloid claiming she had always suspected something, the extra details painting their relationship in sensational terms. The article spread fast, adding to the citywide chatter and bringing more strain. Alexandra confronted the co-worker over the phone, the conversation ending in accusations that left her drained. Through the turmoil they found small moments of connection, cooking Vanessa's favorite pasta, watching the sunset from their balcony, reminding each other why they fought so hard. The awakening for Alexandra was gradual, the realization that her worth was not defined by her family's approval, but by the life she chose to live. Yet the cost was mounting in strained relationships and professional setbacks. As another family call turned into a shouting match, Alexandra made a difficult decision to limit contact for a while to give everyone space to process. The choice felt like another betrayal but necessary for her mental health. Vanessa supported her fully, but the shadow of doubt lingered in quiet moments. The file of memories they had built together became both comfort and reminder of the journey from secret glances to public scrutiny. The drama continued to unfold with online petitions and counter posts, the city divided in its reaction, but for Alexandra and Vanessa, the real battle was internal, the fight to hold on to love amid the wreckage of revealed truths. With contact limited, the weeks dragged in a haze of uncertainty. Alexandra threw herself into work, but the office atmosphere had shifted, colleagues whispering and meetings feeling strained. The moral dilemma peaked when a major client requested a different attorney, citing personal beliefs, the rejection hitting her confidence hard. Vanessa dealt with her own setbacks, a photography project shelved, because the brand wanted to avoid controversy. The low point came during a late-night argument where accumulated stress boiled over Alexandra questioning if their love was strong enough to withstand the losses, while Vanessa accused her of wavering under pressure. The words hung heavy, leading to a temporary separation, Alexandra staying with a friend for a few days to think. The time apart was torture, filled with memories of their happy moments, the romantic beach walks, the quiet evenings that had sustained them. Alone in the guest room, Alexandra confronted her deepest fears, the voice of her upbringing clashing with the truth of her heart. She journaled for hours, exploring the idea of sacrifice. Was it braver to walk away and preserve family ties, or to stay and build a new definition of family? The awakening began in those quiet hours, the recognition that her identity was not a choice but a reality she could no longer deny. Vanessa reached out with a simple text, "I miss us, let's talk," the message breaking the silence. They met at their favorite coffee shop, the conversation raw and honest, laying bare the hurts and the hopes. The reconciliation was tender, reaffirming their commitment, but with new boundaries around family interactions. Yet the betrayals continued when her sister posted a public statement on social media about family values and lost trust, the post gaining traction in their hometown circles. The pain was fresh, but it also solidified Alexandra's resolve. They attended more counseling sessions, learning tools to navigate the external judgment and internal guilt. Professional life stabilized somewhat with a new case that kept her busy, but the shadow remained. Vanessa found a small project with a supportive company, a glimmer of hope amid the challenges. The couple started small traditions to rebuild joy: weekend hikes where they could talk freely, the fresh air easing the tension. The rock bottom had passed, but the climb back was steep, each decision weighed with the knowledge of consequences. Alexandra reflected on the tower slip, the moment that forced honesty, now seeing it as a painful gift that stripped away the lies. The relationship grew stronger in the fire of adversity, the love no longer hidden but chosen daily despite the cost. As they prepared for a potential final family conversation, Alexandra felt a mix of dread and clarity, the path ahead uncertain but hers to walk. The city's attention had shifted to other stories, but their personal drama continued in the quiet choices that defined their future. The final family meeting happened via video call. Her parents and Lily gathered in the living room back home, the distance both literal and emotional. Alexandra spoke first, her voice steady, "I love you all, but I also love Vanessa and I cannot change who I am." The reactions were mixed: tears from her mother, anger from her father, disappointment from Lily, but no immediate disownment, only a heavy silence that spoke volumes. In the following weeks, the consequences became clear. Her father changed his will, removing her share. The family business distanced itself and holiday invitations stopped. The loss hurt deeply, but it also freed her to focus on the life she had chosen. Vanessa stood by her side, their bond deepening through the grief, the shared sacrifices strengthening their commitment. They moved forward, creating new traditions, celebrating their anniversary with a private beach ceremony, renewing vows in front of close friends who had supported them. Alexandra's career shifted to a firm more aligned with her values, while Vanessa's work gained traction through authentic storytelling inspired by their journey. The social prejudice lingered in occasional comments, but they faced it together head-on. The awakening was complete for Alexandra, the understanding that love demanded courage, and sometimes painful trade-offs. They volunteered at LGBT youth centers, sharing parts of their story, to help others navigate similar conflicts, the full circle from hiding to helping. The city that had once amplified their pain now faded into background, as they built a quieter, stronger life. Looking at the empty spaces where family photos once hung, Alexandra felt the weight of the choices, but also the peace of authenticity. Vanessa wrapped her arms around her, whispering, "We paid the price, but we kept what matters." The journey had tested every part of them, but in the end their love remained the constant through betrayal, loss, and judgment. As they stood on their balcony overlooking the lights of Los Angeles, Alexandra reflected on the tower, the scream, the viral storm that had forced them into the light. The drama had reshaped their world, but it had also revealed its true foundation. In the quiet moments, the question lingered for her, and perhaps for anyone watching their story unfold: was the courage to live openly worth every bond broken, or did the hidden path offer a mercy that truth could never provide?